Hello and welcome to Marknall Horsemanship. Here we are with River, a 4-year-old quarter horse mare. As you can see, a yeller horse, Palomino. But River is doing pretty good. River came to me in case those haven't been following. She was just really disconnected with the human. Um, if she did have a foundation, in my opinion, it was poor. But we've started her kind of over, and I'm just going to do a. She's been here for a month now, I think. Is that right, Burgundy? A month and a week. And my beautiful bride said that. So y'all can't hear her because of this microphone. But anyway, so she's been here a month and a week, and we've just started her over with some groundwork, some basic fundamentals of groundwork, and same riding her. You know, she's not doing anything fancy yet, but I got her riding around good. But I'm going to start off with a warm up video, um, a little educational video here, because so many times I see that being left out, and I always want to include a warm up and getting their mind situated on you and getting them connected to you before you get on their backs. I see a lot of people not doing that and getting into a little bit of trouble. And let me talk about that just briefly because it's so not talked about. It's not that you don't want to go into this with an ego or a machoism to the fact where you're like, well, I ain't worried about them bucking. You know, bucking to me ain't no big deal. That's not the correct way of looking at it. What I try to think about is if you come off of these horses, it scares them. And I've had horses really boogered, their mind really altered in a bad way from someone falling off of them due to the horse bucking. So you got to think of the longevity of the horse, not how much you can ride a buck. In my opinion, if you've got that much ego and machoism, you're probably in the wrong business anyway, because these horses don't really cope well with that. They don't coincide well with that type of mentality. So we're just going to get her moving around here to make sure she's a little bit in the program here, so to speak. She don't have to do anything fancy. I want to check her out here to make sure she's she's moving around, make sure she's not limping anywhere. You know, when this mare first came, I didn't have her 2 days, and I lunged her around in a circle, and she was slightly limping in her, I think it was her right front. So I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't have, moved her around a little bit. So it's always a good idea to move these things around and just make sure that they don't have any kind of, soreness anywhere. And just let them get situated. You know, we don't just jump straight up out of the bed and go to work. You know, some people need 30 or 40 minutes. If you're anything like me, you need about an hour to get going. So, or longer. So lots of coffee. But anyway, so it's always good just to warm them up, check them out. I'm going to come in here right now, and I'm going to drive these hindquarters away, get in this other eye, move that front end over. We worked on that hard with this mare. She would just slice right by you. She would put that head up in the air to protect it, because that's what they do. And they just run through the herd with their shoulders, with their head up to protect their vital organs like their eyes and their muzzle and their mouth. And that's what she was doing. So I've had to really back her up in the transition of going from right to left. I back her up, back her back on her haunches, and then direct her to go out and around me. So just a little bit of respect training. So let's see how she does on this side. Going to drive that hip away, back her up right there, and drive her out and around me, instead of her just slicing right by me and being disrespectful. So now we're just going to get her up in a little canter here, a little lope, and just check her out there. Like I said, she don't have to do anything fancy. Usually if they're going to lope or buck, it's going to be during the lope. So I always like to get these things loping. The wind's blowing pretty good up here today. I hope that it's not being, blowing in the mic too hard where y'all can't understand me. I've got it tucked under my pocket right here, so maybe the wind won't be blowing in it too hard. Going to drive these hindquarters away, back her up on her haunches, and move that shoulder out and around me. Going to get her in a little lope right here. You know, wrong lead. So let's see if we can correct that. See it, get her back down and see if we can't get her. There we go. Nope, still the wrong lead. It's okay. These young horses that's never been started are a little off balance. There we go. That's better. Now she can't pull on me though. She's pulling on me right here. There we go. Now she's quit pulling. Good girl. So that's really all I need to see as far as warm up. Got to get her off of me right here. She's still pulling. Gonna bump that nose. Let's talk about that a minute. Don't allow these things to pull on you. If they're going to pull on you in the halter, more than likely they're going to pull on you with the bridle. So we'll work on that just a minute before we get her bridled and get on her back. So I'm going to drive this hip away. No, she thinks she wants to go the other way. I'm just going to keep driving this hip away. Block her right here. Just trying to get her to front end to stay put. There we go. Front end to stay put relatively. And that hind quarter to go away. Now we'll get in this other eye right here. Get this front end to stay put. Almost in a pivot. She has a hard time doing this. But she's getting better at it. There we go. There we go. Looking a little bit better. So there's just a nice little uncomplicated, simple little warm-up before you can ride. Or it'd be a good idea to put it that way before you ride. So I will step over here and get my bridle, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Here we are with River. We're gonna get on River here and see what progress we can make today. So on these younger horses that I'm starting over really, when I get up here, I don't like to make it too complicated, but I do like to get a little feel in them. Just get a little feel in their mouth here. Just want to pull this mouth around a little bit here, pull on her a little bit and ask her to give to that. I think River had this done, had been overexposed to this, to be honest with you, and it kind of made her a little bit bitter towards it. So I've kind of backed off from doing it some, but I still want to check her out to make sure I got control of that mouth. Now we're just going to walk her out. Like I said, I'm not going to do anything fancy. I am going to start her off here though with some, before I get to trotting her and loping her around a little bit, I'm just going to start off with some exercises that I've been doing with her. And what I'm teaching her to do, I've taught her to yield her hindquarters with leg pressure, you know, by sliding my leg back and getting this hip over, just like right here. Just going to ask her to move that hip over, just like that. We've asked her that on both sides. Come on this side. I'll get around here where you can see me, and just ask her to step that hip over, just like that. So we've accomplished that and got it grounded in her pretty good. But now what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to set this thing up to where I want to divide her right here at my leg. In other words, I want to make two parts of her. Not going to make it complicated. Now we're going to move this shoulder over and have her pivot on her hind quarter. So what we're going to do, now we're going to come in here, we're going to keep her walking forward here just a little, going to tip this nose to the left. I'm going to start applying the right rein and the right leg and just ask her to what? It's going to get ugly in the mouth for a moment until she what? All right, there, she gives me that one step over. So the reason it gets ugly in the mouth is because I've got to slow her down. I got to slow the forward motion down. So as I slow the forward motion down to get her to what? Stay on her hindquarters, she's still green in the mouth. So she's going to gnaw and chew and lift that head a little bit. I personally don't worry about it. It will all go away. So again, I'm going to ask her again right here. I'm going to tip her nose to the left, put my right rein, right leg. Ask her to what? Bring that front end around, just like that. Ask her one more step right here. There it comes. Now, a lot of people will pick this apart and say, well, she's not crossing over in the front. She's crossing behind herself instead of over herself. Well, I don't train for a discipline. I don't really pay much attention to that, and I tell you why. Because I'm worried more about her staying loaded up on her haunches. I'm training her to work off of her hindquarters. So where I don't do it for any type of discipline, I'm not really concerned about the correct, if you will, and I don't know who really pinned it on it that was correct anyway, except for the show world, and that's okay. I'm not saying anything against it, so please don't send me any hate comments. But I personally don't worry about it. I'm just cutting horse trainers. They kind of want their horses to back and go around at the same time, so they actually step behind themselves a little bit, and or their horses do. They don't, but so I guess I'm more along that lines. Not that I'm a cutting horse trainer, but I look at it that way of constantly keeping these horses loaded up. So let's try it again here. Loaded up on her hindquarters. All right, right there. Got to get a little livelier with this outside leg. Here it comes. Right there. Now that's good. Now what you do one way, you should always do to the other. We're going to come in here. And what? First off, we're going to let her know which way we're going. We're going to go to the right here and tip that nose to the right. Now I'm going to lay this left rein and this left leg on her and say back and whoa her back just a little bit. Here it comes. There comes that front end. Let's see if we can get a little bit more right here. There it comes. Good. Just putting a handy dandy little handle on this horse. There's so many horses that are being rode around and they're 6, 7, and 8 years old, and you put a leg on them and they'll probably either switch their tail or buck because they've never been, or they won't pay no attention to it at all because they've never been trained to move off of your legs. So we're going to do this again right here. Tip that nose to the right. Going to lay this outside rein and outside leg on her. Slow her down in her forward motion a little and bring that front end right around. Always asking for a little bit of peppiness. There we go. That's pretty good. Now let's do this other side again. And then what I'm going to work on after this, just to kind of give you a fast forward here, after we get this little deal right here a couple times each way, not going to grind it or wear it out on her, but we're going to teach her to stop a little bit before we get her walking and loping and going forward for today. So right here we go again. We'll move this front end over. Move this front end over. I try to raise this hip up on the same side I'm wanting her to come to, my hip, like right there, and try to get her to step through that, just like that. Just like that. There you go. Now just ride her out of there. Ride her out of there. Get a little walk going. A bit too much of a walk. So right here, we're going to do this again. We're going to lower a little bit and get this front end coming right around. Keep her loaded up. I got to wait for a better one than that. One more. That was a pretty good one, right? Going to get her stepping forward here, right there. Good. So it's not perfect. It's not clean yet. But hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Try to make this as less stressful on these horses as we can. So right here, come in here. Now we're going to practice this way one more time. She does this way pretty good. So do I do one way more than the other when one way is not as good? Nope. I do it in equal doses. I want them to be 50-50 both ways, equally. I want them to be equally trained, so to speak, on each side. So right here, we're going to slow that rear end down, get that forward motion stopped a little bit, and come right around. Now this side, since she did that so pretty and clean, maybe I won't do that side anymore. So for right now. So now we're going to come in here and just at a simple walk, just like she's walking now, I'm going to load up my reins. I'm going to have my reins ready, collected rein, but I'm going to ride forward, not in her mouth. And I'm just going to simply ask her to stop right here. That's a whole lot better. That was pretty good. And you might say, well, what about doing it at a trot? Well, we will, but she's not quite ready for it yet. But I do need her walking a little bit more. not necessarily trotting, but I need her to put a little bit more try into her walk for this to really work. So we're going to go down through here and keep her as straight as I can. We're going to sit down on her right here, right there. That's nice. And ask her to back up if it ain't nothing but a step, back off that bridle. And what I'm doing here, let me explain this. What I'm doing here is I'm just holding her. I'm holding her in position right here, and I'm just putting a little energy in my legs, and then I'll give her her mouth, and I'll stop my legs when she gives me a little backup. In other words, what I take away, I always give you back. So right here, we're going to ask her again, ask her to step off of that. Now, eventually, I'll get more demanding, and I'll ask for more. But for right now, if she'll just give me a step or two, right there, that's pretty good. So now we're just going to get her trotting out here a little bit. I say we are, but there we go. She don't want to, but she'll live. Get her trotting around in here a little bit and just ride this little filly out. Now this pen of mine has got some small rocks in it, so she's barefoot. It's not too hard on them, but if you see her do take a bad step every now and then, she's just landed on a rock. But she'll be all right. There we go. She's blowing. That means she's getting relaxed. And we're just going to ride this filly. Nothing fancy. Nothing to write home about. Just ride this filly. Right there, got to sit and drive her forward a little bit. Not a big deal. She's wanting to go in an extended trot on her own right there, so I just kind of let her. Nice little canter. Feels nice. Now we're just going to do a simple, clean little what? One range stop. It's pretty nice. She's a nice little mare. Getting to be. She came grumpy, grouchy, ears laid back, just hating people in general. And I think somebody had just been a little bit unthoughtful of her. I'm not saying they was mean to her. I don't ever want to say anything that would, cause any kind of problems with people. But if they were to see this, but I think that her feelings weren't thought of. Don't mean you can't correct your horse. Don't mean you can't discipline your horse. But sometimes these horses are just made do like slaves. They are beasts of burdens, and they are meant for work. But they have feelings too. So I try to keep that in my mind at all times. So right here now, let me talk about something. Right here, I'm going to take off, and I'm going to go that way. I'm not going to take off. I'm just going to go that way. So instead of just directing her to the right, why don't I utilize the tools that I've created? And why don't I rock her back right here a little bit? Rock her back. Ask her to step back, and as she steps back, put this outside rein and this outside leg on her, and use this right there. See, ain't that better than just turning her and going? So, once you start having some tools, right here, she's kind of giving me a right there now, getting a little bit sticky. Once you start creating these tools, use them. Don't not use them. Use them. Here, you're gonna have to get a little bit loud with her. Not too bad, but just gonna kick her up in this lope. She don't have to do a lot today, as long as she moves them feet. Right here, we're gonna do a simple one rein stop. Look at that. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Now we're just gonna walk her out. Now, what this little filly needs more than anything at this point in time is either turned out for 2 or 3 days or taken on a nice, slow, laid back little ride across the farm for 30 minutes, if that, 25, 30 minutes. And that's it. This arena training and all that you just saw me do, it needs to be left alone for a few days. I learned that years ago of when to quit for a few days, and you come back and man alive, they're a whole lot better than they were. So with that being said, we're going to quit this session, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let's check on her stop right here, get her back up off of that bridle a little bit, right there. So I hope you enjoyed that session with River today. I sure did. I appreciate the customer that brought her to me. He's a good guy, and I greatly appreciate him. I want to let him know that we're praying for him and his family, and we wish him and pray the best for him. And I thank everyone for watching. If you're watching by YouTube, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. If you're watching by Facebook, don't forget to like it and share it, and send me some comments, even on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. If you're watching it on there, send me some comments. I'd like to hear from you all, and I greatly appreciate you watching. God bless.